Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we commit to taking the vast, often overwhelming sea of information and distilling it down to the purest, most fascinating nuggets of knowledge just for you.
Today, we are undertaking arguably our most ambitious analysis yet. We're plunging deep into a topic that has migrated from, whispered backroom conversations and grainy footage straight into the halls of power.
Right. Unidentified aerial phenomena, or UAPs. Most people probably still know them as UFOs.
Exactly. And it's a topic that's suddenly become incredibly timely.
Yeah, the timing couldn't be more critical, could it? I mean, the whole conversation shifted earlier this year. The U.S. Congress held its first hearing dedicated entirely to UAPs.
That was huge. Not just a side discussion in some budget meeting, but a full public inquiry. It really moved the whole thing out of the, let's say, the conspiracy shadow and into the official spotlight. Under oath, no less.
Under oath, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the key part. It forces a different level of seriousness.
And the real shift, I think, wasn't just new data necessarily. It was more about who was providing the testimony, their credibility.
Okay, yeah, tell us about that. Who were these people?
Well, we saw testimony from three really highly vetted individuals. You had two seasoned military pilots, David Fravor and Ryan Graves.
Okay, experienced pilots.
Right. And the third was a high-level intelligence officer, David Grush. Their professional standing, it just made it impossible for Washington to just dismiss it all as anecdotal stories.
Okay, let's unpack this thing, because this seems like a real pivot point.
Yeah.
Commander David Fravor. He was the commanding officer of the Black Aces, right?
That's him. He gave his sworn account of that famous 2004 Nimitz encounter. We'll definitely dig into that one later. It's crucial.
And he actually used the phrase flying saucer, didn't he, to describe what he saw over the Pacific?
He did. And importantly, he stressed this wasn't just a one-off weird event. He stated that between 2004 and 2021, there were something like 150 documented reports of similar unexplained incidents just in the American sphere.
150, wow.
Oh.
So that's a lot more than most people probably realize.
Oh, definitely. And it wasn't just Fravor's older data. Ryan Graves, another decorated Navy pilot, he confirmed his own persistent sightings.
Where were his sightings?
Off the East Coast, operating in restricted military airspace. He was really emphatic about the national security risk these things pose. He basically said the Pentagon and intelligence agencies are dealing with this, even if they're not talking about it much publicly.
So security risk, that's a different angle than just, little green men.
Absolutely. But then came David Grush, the intelligence officer. His testimony was, well, frankly, explosive.
That's the one that really made headlines, right? What did he claim?
Under oath, remember, he claimed the U.S. government possesses physical debris from crashed UAPs.
Okay, crashed UAPs.
Yeah.
Like Roswell style.
Potentially. But he went further. He alleged the government is actively engaged in highly classified, unauthorized reverse engineering programs, trying to figure out the tech for military use.
Unauthorized, how does that work?
Well, that's the huge issue he raised. He alleged this massive secret operation is financed through special hidden funds, completely bypassing normal congressional oversight.
So secret money for secret projects, basically.
Exactly. He framed it as a potential violation of trust, given the resources involved for something officially labeled as, mostly non-existent or misidentified.
Didn't he also make claims about, bodies?
Ah, yes. That was probably the most sensational part. He asserted the U.S. government also possesses at least several bodies of alien.
Aliens. Actual alien.
He described them as humanoids, but explicitly stated they were not Homo sapiens, the implication being they were the occupants of these crashed crafts.
Okay, hold on. That's an almost unbelievable claim.
Yeah.
Did he see this stuff? The debris, the bodies.
Right, and that's where critical analysis is vital, and you're right to push on that. Grush admitted he hadn't personally seen the materials or the bodies.
Ah, okay, so it's hearsay.
Legally, maybe, but he presented it as protected whistleblower testimony. Information he got from sources he vetted through his official role as a high-level intelligence officer.
So he's vouching for his sources, basically.
Yes. Does it reduce the direct credibility? Maybe in a courtroom.
Yeah.
But in the context of government secrecy, it kind of supports the narrative that someone high up knows something, but it's locked away in these super compartmentalized programs.
Okay. So how did the government react? I imagine they didn't just say, yep, you got us.
No, not quite. The Department of Defense, the DoD, they pushed back immediately. Strong denial, called the claims baseless.
So back to the old playbook.
Pretty much. Their long-standing position is that the vast majority, they usually say 99% of all UAP reports are just known things. comets, weather balloons, drones, reflections, optical illusions, you name it.
Right. The usual suspects.
And that contrast really sets the stage for what we're doing here today. We have to look at the evidence skeptically, acknowledge the mundane explanations that cover most sightings, but we also have to really focus on those few persistent cases that just don't fit. The ones confirmed by multiple sensors, multiple trained professionals, the cases that seem, well, kind of undeniable, and ultimately forced Congress's hand.
Because ultimately it taps into that huge question, doesn't it? The one everyone wonders about.
Exactly, that perennial human question that cuts across all cultures, all times. Are we alone?
Had deep curiosity. It's a good bridge, actually, because we need to shift gears now. We've talked about the very modern politically charged hearings, but let's go way back. Humanity has been looking up at the sky for millennia, right? This isn't entirely new. Our sources show we've been documenting weird things up there since antiquity.
Absolutely. You can trace this observational interest right back to the dawn of recorded history. Take the ancient Sumerians around 3300 BC.
Okay, Sumerians, what did they record?
Their inscriptions mention Dingir. Now, that term is usually translated today as something like heavenly being or maybe divine entity.
So gods, basically.
Well, yes, it's definitely within our religious or mythological context. But what's interesting is the imagery that sometimes goes with these texts. Some modern researchers look at these images and see, well, figures in what look like spherical or even rocket-like vehicles.
Rocket ships in 3300 BC? That seems like a stretch.
It is a stretch, and we have to be careful. Like, the source material warns not to dive into pure conspiracy here. We view it through cultural history. But the pattern is there, linking unexplained things in the sky with powerful non-human entities.
You see that pattern elsewhere, too.
Oh, globally.
Yeah.
You find rock carvings, drawings, Incas, Mayas in the Americas, ancient sites in Egypt and the Middle East. Sometimes these show figures wearing things people interpret as like spacesuit helmets or figures with unnaturally large eyes.
The big almond eyes, yeah. That's a common theme later on, too.
It is. And again, caution is needed. But the myths themselves are pervasive. Think of the Egyptian god Ra sailing across the sky in his boat.
Or the Indian Vimanas, weren't they described as flying ships?
Exactly. And not just chariots, but detailed accounts of highly maneuverable heavenly ships used by the gods in like epic battles. These foundational stories, they set up a cultural expectation, that powerful visitors could come from the sky.
Okay, so myths and interpretations are one thing. But are there more, like, concrete historical records? Documented sightings from before the modern era?
Yes, surprisingly specific ones. One of the earliest comes from the Roman historian Plutarch, back in the 1st century BC. He wrote about a battle in Phrygia, modern-day Turkey.
What happened?
Right before the Roman army, led by Lucullus, was about to fight this rebel force, something appeared in the sky between the two armies.
Between them, what was it?
Plutarch described it as a huge fiery object, a huge sphere, and the effect was immediate. It terrified both armies so much they just scattered. The battle was called off before it even started.
Wow. So whatever it was, it literally changed the course of that event.
Whether it was a meteor, a comet fragment, who knows? But it was an unidentified aerial phenomenon that had a direct impact.
Any other examples like that?
Yeah, Titus Livius, writing around the same time, 18 AD, recorded sightings of fast-moving bright stars over Rome in Italy.
Okay.
Then you jump forward centuries to the Byzantine Empire, 909 AD. The historian Leo the Deacon describes a bright star appearing in the west, changing trajectory suddenly and vanishing. People saw it as a terrible omen.
Changing trajectory. That sounds less like a normal star or meteor.
It does, and even during the Renaissance. Benvenuto Cellini, the famous sculptor in Florence, he wrote in his private diary about seeing a huge spherical something hovering over the city while he was traveling.
In his diary, so not for public consumption.
Right. It lends it a certain observational sincerity, perhaps.
It feels like there's a consistency in these descriptions. Spherical, fiery.
There often is. And look at this Russian account, the Ustyu Chronicle from January 25th, 1677. Really dramatic. There was a huge fire consuming the city.
Okay.
And suddenly, a huge fiery ball appeared over the burning city. It apparently hovered there silently, maybe observing, then just flew away.
Hovered silently.
Yeah.
Again, that detail pops up.
And the chronicler even noted the colors. Said these spheres burned or shimmered, shifting between purple, blue, orange, red, green. That description, a silently operating multicolored sphere. That sounds remarkably similar to some modern UAP reports from military pilots.
It really does. So it's clear people have always seen stuff they couldn't explain.
Mm.
But something changed after World War II, didn't it? The whole context shifted.
Fundamentally. Before the 20th century, these were maybe omens, divine signs. After WWII, with the dawn of the atomic age and the Cold War, they suddenly became potential national security threats, or proof of advanced intelligence far beyond our own.
And that's when the sightings really exploded, right? The sources called it real madness.
Exactly. The modern era of ufology really kicks off then, and we can pinpoint the exact moment the term flying saucer entered the language, June 24th, 1947.
Okay, 1947. Who coined it?
A guy named Kenneth Arnold. He was a private pilot flying his jet near the Cascade Mountains in Washington state.
And what did he see?
He reported seeing a chain of 9 extremely fast, disc-shaped objects moving erratically. His description to reporters was that they moved like a saucer skipping across the water.
Oh, okay, skipping saucer. And the media just grabbed that.
Ran with it immediately. Flying saucer, flying plate. It went viral, 1947 style.
And other sightings followed quickly.
Just days later, a civilian DC-3 airliner crew reported similar glowing, fast discs. And then, just 4 days after that, Roswell happened.
Roswell. July 1947, New Mexico. This is the big one, the one everyone knows or thinks they know.
It's the cornerstone, really. It fundamentally changed how the public saw potential alien visitors and, maybe more importantly, how they saw the government's willingness to keep secrets.
Okay, so let's really dig into the details here. How did it start?
It started with a farmer, W.W. Mac Brazel. He found all this strange debris scattered across his ranch after a huge thunderstorm. Lots of lightning, thunder, and he reported hearing a loud, distinct noise during the storm.
And the debris wasn't normal plane wreckage or anything.
Not according to Brazel. He described this really lightweight foil, like aluminum foil, but if you crumpled it up, it would just immediately smooth itself back out. Perfectly flat again.
Okay, that's weird. Memory metal.
Kind of sounds like it, yeah. And there were also these blocks of metal, like I-beams, but small. He said they couldn't be bent, couldn't be cut, couldn't even be heated by a fire.
Couldn't heat it. Wow. What else?
The famous hieroglyphs. Brazel said some of the beams, or maybe rope-like material, had these strange repeating patterns on them, looked like some kind of unknown writing.
Hieroglyphs.
Okay, so what did he do? He reported it to the local sheriff, and pretty soon, military personnel from the nearby Roswell Army airfield showed up, cordoned off the area, and collected everything. Very quickly, very efficiently.
So the military got involved right away.
Immediately. And then came the really startling part. The secrecy machine didn't quite kick in right away. Initially, the base put out a press release.
And what did it say?
On the morning of July 8th, the official statement announced that the Roswell Army Airfield had recovered the hull of a flying saucer.
They actually said flying saucer. Officially.
They did. And news just exploded across the U.S. Headlines everywhere. Alien spaceship crashes in New Mexico.
I can only imagine the reaction. But that didn't last long, did it?
Not even 24 hours. By the evening of July 9th, General Ramey, a higher-ranking officer, held a press conference and issued the famous denial.
The weather balloon story.
Exactly. Ramey claimed the initial announcement was a mistake by excited lower-level staff. He held up some debris that looked like a standard weather balloon radar target and said, "This is what they found. Just an ordinary weather balloon."
That quick flip-flop.
Yeah.
I can see why that bred suspicion.
It's the absolute foundation of the whole Roswell conspiracy theory and the decades of public distrust that followed. Why the initial confirmation, then the immediate total denial?
So what was the official explanation for the denial later on? Why lie about a weather balloon?
Well, years later, the military offered up Project Mogul as the real reason for the secrecy.
Project Mogul. What was that?
It was a genuine top-secret Cold War program. They were using these chains of high-altitude balloons carrying sensitive microphones.
Microphones. What for?
To try and detect the sound waves from Soviet atomic bomb tests way up in the upper atmosphere. It was highly classified because, spying on Soviet nukes was critical national security stuff.
Okay, so Mogul was real, and it was secret. That gives them a reason to lie about something falling out of the sky.
It does. It provides a plausible motive for the cover-up. But does it explain the debris Brazel described? The memory foil, the uncuttable beams, the hieroglyphs?
Good point. Does a spy balloon have memory foil?
Not typically. And this is where the whistleblowers come in, decades later. Major Jesse Marcel, he was the intelligence officer who actually handled the debris initially, back in '47.
What did he say?
In a 1979 interview, he came forward and said flat out he was ordered to lie about the weather balloon. He posed for those photos with the fake debris General Ramey showed. Marcel insisted the real debris he collected was absolutely not of this Earth, nothing like any military equipment he'd ever seen.
He said it wasn't earthly. That's a strong statement from a military intelligence officer.
It is, and then the story escalated even more dramatically. Other witnesses started talking about a second crash site and, well, bodies.
Ah, the alien bodies. This is where it gets really wild.
Yeah. People like Gerald Anderson, who was just a kid at the time, and others claimed that 3, maybe 4 small alien corpses were found near the wreckage.
And the descriptions.
Pretty much established the stereotype of the gray alien you see everywhere now. Huge, bald heads, large, black, almond-shaped eyes, small bodies, and they were supposedly wearing suits made of a seamless metallic fabric.
So the government now had alleged bodies to explain away, not just weird debris. How do they handle that?
They struggled. Their story kept changing. In 1977, the Air Force floated the idea that any bodies seen were actually just anthropomorphic crash test dummies dropped on parachutes during high-altitude tests.
Crash test dummies. Okay.
But there's a huge problem with that timeline. Those specific high-altitude dummy drop tests didn't actually start until the 1950s, specifically 1953.
Not 1947.
Nope. So that explanation just didn't fit the Roswell timeframe. It created a massive credibility gap. People knew they weren't telling the whole story.
So what was the next explanation?
By 1994, the Pentagon issued yet another report. This time, they admitted the initial weather balloon story was a lie, necessitated by the need to hide Project Mogul.
Okay, admitting the lie, that's something.
It is. But they still denied it was anything extraterrestrial. They claimed the weird debris was from Mogul balloons and the hieroglyphs. They said that was just patterned adhesive tape, possibly sourced from children's toy factories, used to reinforce the balloon structures.
Toy factory tape? Seriously?
That was the explanation. So the core admission was, yes, we lied for almost 50 years, but we lied to cover up a secret spy project, not aliens.
But does even that hold up? What about official documents?
That's where it gets even muddier. In 2011, the FBI declassified and published a field report from 1947 written by an Agent Guy Hattel.
What did Agent Wantel's report say?
It explicitly mentioned the recovery of 3 flying saucers in New Mexico, along with the bodies of 3 occupants described as being about 3 feet tall and dressed in metallic cloth.
Whoa. An official FBI document from 1947 confirming saucers and bodies.
Exactly. Now, the FBI immediately downplayed it when they released it, saying the memo was just relaying secondhand rumors that the agent hadn't verified. They even pointed out the memo mentions local scammers trying to sell alien dowsing rods at the time.
Okay, so they tried to discredit their own document.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But the fact remains, a formal FBI report from the era exists, documenting the core elements of the Roswell myth. It adds huge complexity to the official denials.
It really does. And all this secrecy and conflicting stories, it just cemented Roswell as the absolute epicenter of ufology, didn't it?
Totally. And culturally, it led directly to things like that infamous alien autopsy footage that Fox News bought and aired in 1995.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. Caused a huge stir. Claimed to be real 1947 autopsy film.
Right. The producer, Ray Santilli, claimed it was the genuine article. But almost immediately, people pointed out problems that the look of the room, the phone on the wall, stuff like that seemed wrong for 47.
So it was fake.
Santilli eventually admitted, yeah, it was a reconstruction. He used a rubber dummy filled with, like, chicken guts and calf brains. Gruesome stuff.
So just a hoax then.
Well, here's the twist. Santilli insisted he only recreated it because he had seen a real original autopsy film years before, but it was too degraded to show. So even the hoax itself ended up reinforcing the core belief for many. The government is hiding something shocking.
It's like a self-perpetuating cycle of belief and suspicion.
Exactly. And as we move into the 1950s, the sightings didn't stop with Roswell. They actually ramped up. It got so persistent, the government had to formalize its response.
Like the Lubbock Lights. That was in Texas, 1951.
Yeah, the Lubbock Lights. A classic mass sighting. Lots of people, including professors from Texas Tech, saw this V-shaped formation, or sometimes a chain, of bright red or greenish-blue lights moving silently and rapidly across the night sky. A student even got photos.
Photos. Okay. And the official explanation?
Quick and standard. Reflections of city streetlights off the bellies of migrating plover birds flying through fog. An optical illusion.
Birds? Really? Moving in formation like that?
That was the story. It shows that standard operating procedure, Find any mundane explanation, however unlikely it might seem to witnesses, and stick to it, especially for mass sightings.
This systematic approach, did it lead to, like, official government projects to investigate?
It did. They realized they couldn't just ignore it anymore. The U.S. government launched Project Grudge in 1951.
Project Grudge. Doesn't sound very objective.
The name kind of says it all, doesn't it? It was pretty quickly folded into a much larger, longer-running project in 1952, Project Blue Book.
Blue Book. That one's famous, too. Was it a genuine scientific investigation?
Publicly, that was the perception. We're taking this seriously, looking into it. But internally, the main goal seemed to be twofold. First, figure out if these things were a threat to national security.
Okay, makes sense. And second?
Second, systematically debunk reports and calm public fears. Basically, manage the PR aspect.
So find explanations and downplay the mystery.
Pretty much. By 1953, they brought in expert panels, like the famous Robertson panel composed of scientists. Their conclusion, after reviewing the best cases, was basically, yeah, some are unexplained, but there's no evidence of a direct threat, and the objects didn't seem to be extraterrestrial vehicles, so reinforce the dismissal.
But that dismissal must have been incredibly hard to maintain just a year earlier, during the summer of 1952 in Washington, D.C.
The Washington merry-go-round, or the Washington flap. July 1952. Arguably the most documented, most public mass sighting in U.S. history. Right over the nation's capital.
What happened exactly? Over D.C.?
It started late on July 12th. Air traffic controllers at Washington National Airport, now Reagan National, picked up 7 unidentified objects on their radar screens.
Unidentified how? Like moving strangely?
Exactly. They weren't behaving like planes or weather, hovering, making sudden turns, moving incredibly fast. And another radar station, at Andrews Air Force Base, confirmed the targets. Multiple radar systems seeing the same anomalous things.
And where were they?
This was the really alarming part for the military. The radar showed them hovering over highly sensitive areas, including the White House and the Capitol building.
Over the White House. Okay, that would trigger panic. Did they send up jets?
They did. 2 F-94 Starfire interceptors were scrambled in the early morning hours. But as they got close, the objects just vanished from the radar and visually, poof, gone.
Vanished, but they came back.
Yep. Reappeared on radar around 5:30 a.m. Then the real fireworks happened 2 weeks later on July 26th.
They came back again.
Big time. All the radar stations in the Washington area started tracking multiple unknowns again. More jets were scrambled. And this time, the pilots got visual confirmation.
What did the pilot see?
One interceptor pilot reported that 4 bright lights, these objects, actually surrounded his plane, flew right alongside him.
Surrounded him. What were his orders?
This is maybe the most chilling detail. His reported instruction from ground control was stark. Keep absolutely silent. Don't engage, don't report over open channels what you're seeing.
Keep silent. While surrounded by unknown objects over the Capitol. Wow. Did the objects do anything?
They demonstrated completely impossible maneuvers. Instant acceleration, sudden stops, right-angle turns. Things no known aircraft could do then or even now.
So, pilots saw them, radar tracked them over the White House. The government had to say something publicly.
They were forced to. The public and the press were in a frenzy. So on July 29th, the Air Force held this huge press conference. General John Samford was the main speaker.
And what was the explanation this time? Couldn't be birds over D.C.?
They claimed it was a unique natural phenomenon. Specifically, a combination of meteors and bolides, bright exploding meteors combined with a weather effect called a temperature inversion.
Temperature inversion. How does that explain radar targets?
They argued the inversion could bend radar beams and create false echoes and also bend light, creating optical illusions that look like lights in the sky.
Okay. Did that explanation fly, technologically speaking?
Not really. Almost immediately, radar experts and astronomers pointed out major flaws. Meteors and bolides are atmospheric burn-ups. They don't typically show up as solid, maneuvering targets on radar like the ones tracked for hours.
Right. Radar bounces off solid objects, mostly metal.
Exactly. And the temperature inversion explanation for the visuals was also questioned. The public, and certainly many experts, felt the government was deliberately minimizing, maybe even lying, about what really happened over Washington. It just fueled the belief that something real was going on, and authorities were covering it up.
Okay, so these mass public sightings with questionable explanations are one thing. Let's pivot now to those cases involving high-level military witnesses and, crucially, sophisticated military equipment confirming things. These seem harder to dismiss.
Absolutely. These military and technical encounters are really the core of the modern UAP discussion because you have trained observers and advanced sensors involved. The Tehran incident is a classic case study.
Tehran, Iran. When was this?
September 19th, 1976. It started with civilians in the Shamiran district reporting this huge, brightly lit object in the night sky, visible from maybe 110 kilometers away, shifting colors, orange, green, purple.
Okay, public sighting first. Then the military got involved.
Yes. The Iranian Air Force was alerted, and they scrambled an F-4 Phantom interceptor jet. General Yosefi was in charge.
And the pilot, Yosefi, what happened when he approached?
As he closed the distance, getting to about 40 kilometers, maybe 25 miles from the object, he reported a total systems failure. All his aircraft's advanced avionics, computers, radar, even communications just shut down completely, blanked out.
Everything went dead. That's terrifying in a fighter jet.
Extremely dangerous. He recognized the threat immediately and had no choice but to break off the intercept and turn back. As he increased distance, his systems came back online.
So it seemed like the object caused the failure. Did they send another jet?
They did. The object was still there, hovering. So a second F-4, this one piloted by Lieutenant Jafari, was launched.
Jafari's experience.
As Jafari approached, he saw the main object, which he's described as huge, maybe like a Boeing 707 or similar. Then a smaller, intensely glowing object detached from the main mothership and flew directly at his F-4. Very aggressively.
Flew at him. Did he try to engage?
He did. He selected an AM-9 Sidewinder heat-seeking missile to fire. But the moment he tried to lock on and launch, same thing happened. His entire weapons control panel went dead, navigation systems failed, communications cut out.
Couldn't fire. Just like the first jet lost its systems. Sounds like some kind of electromagnetic pulse or interference.
That's the strong suspicion. This systematic electronic warfare capability. The small glowing object then flew right under his F-4, extremely close, almost causing a collision. Jafari took evasive action, increased his distance.
And his systems came back.
Exactly. Once he was further away, everything powered back up spontaneously. It wasn't just a visual trick. His plane's sensitive electronics were being actively jammed or disabled when close to the object.
Did Jafari see anything else?
Yeah, he reported seeing 4 other small objects detached from the main craft at different points. One of them apparently flew down towards the ground and seemed to land softly, illuminating a large area very brightly. Radar at the Mehrabad Airport Control Tower also confirmed tracking anomalous objects around the same time, briefly causing their own systems to fail.
This sounds incredibly well documented for the time.
It is. All the voice communication tapes between Jafari, the other pilot, and the ground control were actually published just weeks later, on October 1st, 1976. And American intelligence, specifically the Defense Intelligence Agency, DIA, received and studied a detailed 5-page report on the incident from the Iranians.
So the U.S. government knew all the details. What did they say publicly?
Officially, very little. Years later, Henry Kissinger, who was Secretary of State at the time, publicly dismissed the whole complex event as probably just a satellite or meteor.
A meteor that jams fighter jet electronics and launches smaller objects.
Doesn't quite add up, does it? It's another example of official minimization despite strong technical evidence and witness testimony.
Okay, Tehran is compelling. Are there similar European military cases?
Definitely. The Valencia incident in Spain, November 11th, 1979, is another key one.
What happened in Valencia?
It started with a commercial airliner, a Caravel jet. The pilots reported seeing this huge disc-shaped object with bright red lights flying on a dangerous parallel course very close to them. They were alarmed enough to request an emergency landing in Valencia.
Okay, so civilian pilots first.
Yeah.
Did the military confirm?
Yes. Valencia airport radar picked up the object immediately after the plane landed. The Spanish Air Force scrambled a Mirage F-1 fighter jet to intercept.
And the Mirage pilot. Same experience as Tehran.
Very similar. The Mirage pilot visually confirmed a huge saucer-like object. As he got closer to try and identify it, he also experienced significant avionics failure, electronic systems cutting out.
Wow. And the object's behavior.
When the pilot tried to pursue, the UFO reportedly accelerated instantaneously to speeds far beyond the Mirage F-1's capability, then shot off rapidly towards Africa and disappeared from radar.
Impossible acceleration again. What was the official Spanish explanation?
Initially, they floated theories like maybe radiation from a nearby chemical plant was causing instrument malfunction, or perhaps powerful infrared emissions from the U.S. 6th Fleet operating in the Mediterranean.
Did the pilot buy that?
No. The experienced Mirage pilot strongly refuted those ideas. He insisted the object was physical, solid, and its flight characteristics defied any known technology or natural phenomenon. Given the military involvement, the case was pretty quickly designated, classified, and essentially hushed up.
So Iran, Spain,
Hmm.
these involve single dramatic encounters.
Yeah.
What about sustained sightings involving military response?
For that, the Belgium UFO wave is probably the most significant example. This happened over a longer period, mainly between late 1989 and early 1990.
A wave, like lots of sightings.
Mass sightings across the country for several months. People consistently reported seeing huge, silent, triangular, diamond-shaped objects, usually with bright lights at the corners and maybe a central red light.
Silent triangles, that's a specific description. What about their movement?
That was the most baffling part. Witnesses described them performing impossible maneuvers, hovering silently for long periods, then suddenly accelerating to incredible speeds, making sharp, right-angle turns without slowing down, and sometimes descending rapidly or climbing vertically at speeds that defied gravity.
Sounds like the Washington sightings. But triangles instead of lights. Did the Belgian military get involved?
They did, repeatedly, and this is where the Belgian case stands out. The Belgian Air Force demonstrated unusual transparency compared to the U.S. or Spain. They publicly acknowledged the sightings and confirmed they scrambled F-16 fighter jets numerous times.
F-16s. Did the pilots see the triangles? Did they get radar locks?
Yes, on both counts. F-16 pilots visually confirmed the large, strangely lit triangular objects. More importantly, they achieved radar lock with their sophisticated onboard systems.
And the radar data, what did it show?
The radar data was perhaps the most compelling evidence. It corroborated the visual reports of impossible maneuvers. The data showed objects changing speed and altitude almost instantaneously, pulling G-forces that would instantly crush any human pilot and tear apart any conventional aircraft. Speeds and accelerations far beyond anything known at the time.
So hard radar data confirming physics-defying flight. Was there any physical evidence found? Wreckage?
No, that's the frustrating part. Despite the intensity and duration of the wave and the military engagements, no physical trace or wreckage was ever recovered. The objects remain elusive.
There was a famous photo, though, wasn't there? The Petite Rochane photo.
Ah, yes. The photo taken in April 1990 showing a dark triangular shape with lights against the sky. It became the iconic image of the wave. However, years later, the person who took it admitted it was a hoax, basically a piece of painted styrofoam suspended.
Oh, so the main photo is fake. Does that discredit the whole wave?
It certainly muddied the waters for the public, but investigators and the Belgian military emphasized that the hoax photo doesn't invalidate the hundreds of other credible witness reports, the police reports, and crucially, the multiple confirmed F-16 radar tracks showing anomalous objects performing impossible maneuvers. The sheer volume of consistent military and civilian data makes the Belgium wave a major unexplained event.
Okay, that makes sense. The photo was just one piece. So we've seen these high-tech military encounters in the West.
Mm-hmm.
What about behind the Iron Curtain? Did the Soviet Union have similar experiences?
Oh, absolutely. Even though ufology was officially frowned upon, sometimes even banned as a kind of Western decadence or psychological warfare, significant events still broke through. Two are particularly famous. First, the Petrozavodsk incident in 1977. This was a huge event, witnessed by many residents in the city of Petrozavodsk, Karelia.
What did they see?
They described a massive, luminous object resembling a jellyfish descending over the city. It apparently shot down numerous fine, bright beams of light like tentacles towards the ground. Very strange visual.
A jellyfish shooting light beams. What was the official Soviet explanation for that?
The standard go-to, atmospheric phenomena related to a rocket launch from the nearby Plesetsk Cosmodrome. They suggested complex light refraction.
Rocket launch.
Yeah.
But did that explain everything?
Not really, because locals reported a very specific, tangible after effect, finding neat, perfectly circular melted holes in window panes around the city after the event.
Melted holes in glass. How did the authorities explain that?
The official commission basically dismissed it. Their report suggested, rather bizarrely, that the holes were probably caused by hooligans using air guns or slingshots.
Slingshots melting perfect circles in glass. That seems unlikely.
It demonstrates the tendency, even in the Soviet system, to prefer a politically simple dismissal, however illogical, over acknowledging something truly anomalous and potentially alarming.
Okay, Petrozavodsk. What was the other big Soviet case?
That would be Voronezh in 1989. This one got international attention.
What happened in Voronezh?
A group of school children claimed they saw a large reddish sphere or saucer land in a local park, South Park. It's a real place. They said tall, humanoid figures in silvery or metallic suits, some with a third eye, emerged from the craft.
Aliens landing in a park. Sounds like science fiction.
Yeah.
Why did this get attention?
Because the story wasn't just local gossip, it was actually picked up and reported by TASS, the official Soviet news agency.
TASS reported an alien landing. Seriously.
They reported the claims of the witnesses, which was highly unusual. It gave the story immense visibility, both inside the USSR and internationally. Teams of journalists and investigators, even from the West, went to Voronezh to interview the children and other witnesses. While definitive proof remained elusive, the official news report made it a landmark case in Soviet ufology.
It's fascinating how these things pop up even in closed societies. Any other Soviet-era evidence surfaced later?
Yes, something really intriguing came out with recent declassifications. It involves Valentina Tereshkova, the first woman in space.
Tereshkova, what did she report?
Her official flight log from her Vostok 6 mission in 1963 contains a handwritten entry, dated June 17th, time 14:20 Moscow time.
What does it say?
It reads, "Observing object on the right side, bright star, approximately 3 times size of Vega. Quickly moving away from me, trajectory from south to north. What it looks like, see drawing and attachment." And there was a simple drawing attached.
A cosmonaut, in orbit, reporting a fast-moving, unidentified bright object and drawing it. That's significant.
Very. It shows that even within the most rigorously controlled state programs, like the Soviet space program, inexplicable observations were happening and being recorded, even if not publicized at the time.
Okay, let's shift from direct sightings to something weirder.
Yeah.
What about cases involving alleged communication or ongoing contact? I think Spain had a famous one.
You're probably thinking of the UMO phenomenon. That's a really bizarre, long-running saga, primarily centered in Spain, but also involving France, starting around 1966.
UMO, how did that begin?
It started with a Spanish engineer named José Luis Jordán Peña. He claimed he had a close encounter, saw a saucer land near Madrid, and noticed a specific symbol on its underside looked kind of like the astrological symbol for Uranus, or the Cyrillic letter Z.
Okay, a sighting with a unique symbol, then what?
Then, over the next few decades, hundreds, maybe thousands, of incredibly detailed, typewritten letters started circulating among UFO researchers and interested individuals, mostly in Spain and France. These letters all bore that same distinct UMO symbol.
Letters from who?
They claimed to be from an advanced extraterrestrial civilization from the planet UMO, which supposedly orbited the star Wolf 424.
Aliens writing letters, what did they say?
This is what made UMO unique. The letters weren't just simple "we come in peace" messages. They contained about 1,300 pages of dense, complex, quasi-scientific, and philosophical material.
Like what kind of material?
Detailed discussions of UMO technology, like their spacecraft propulsion, their biology, their social structure, complex cosmology, advanced physics concepts, linguistics, even a system of ethics they described as being similar to Neo-Kantian philosophy. Really high-level stuff.
That sounds incredibly elaborate. Did they say why they were contacting people?
They claimed their first expedition landed secretly in the French Alps, near La Havie in Provence, back in 1950. They said they'd been studying humanity covertly ever since, and the letters were a way to gradually introduce their existence and ideas, often focusing on warnings about nuclear war and promoting ethical development.
Were there any, political elements?
Intriguingly, yes. Some later letters included accusations against the U.S. government, like the claim that the U.S. military deliberately created the AIDS virus in a lab.
That sounds familiar. Wasn't that a known piece of Soviet disinformation during the Cold War?
It absolutely was, a persistent KGB propaganda line known as Operation Infection. Finding that specific claim embedded within the supposedly extraterrestrial UMO letters raised serious questions about their real origin. Was it an elaborate hoax? A psychological operation?
So what was the resolution? Was it ever figured out?
Well, in 1992, it took a dramatic turn. José Luis Jordán Peña, the original contactee who saw the symbol back in '66, publicly confessed. He claimed he had fabricated the entire UMO phenomenon himself, wrote all the letters, staged sightings, the works.
He confessed to faking everything. Case closed then.
Not quite so simple. While Peña confessed, many researchers and even some of his own former associates expressed serious doubts. They questioned whether Peña, given his known background and education, could possibly have possessed the vast, specialized knowledge across so many complex fields — physics, biology, philosophy, linguistics — needed to write those incredibly detailed letters entirely on his own.
So maybe he had help. Or maybe his confession wasn't the full story.
Exactly. The UMO case remains controversial. Was it Peña alone? Was it a group hoax? Was there some intelligence agency involvement? Maybe using it to spread disinformation, like the AIDS claim. Or, as some still believe, was there some genuine anomalous core to it? It's a fascinating example of how belief, information, and potential manipulation can intertwine in this field.
It really highlights the cultural impact, too. These sightings and stories weren't just happening in isolation, they were shaping culture.
Massively, especially peaking in the 60s and 70s. You see it reflected everywhere. Think about the Kecksburg incident in Pennsylvania in 1965.
Kecksburg. That was the acorn-shaped object.
Yeah, witnesses described this large metallic acorn or bell-shaped object crashing into the woods after streaking across the sky. The military showed up almost immediately, cordoned off the area, and hauled something away on a flatbed truck covered up.
And the official story.
Initially, vague reports about a meteor. Later speculation centered on it maybe being a failed Soviet satellite, like a Cosmos probe. But the shape described by witnesses didn't really match known Soviet hardware. The intense military secrecy and the rapid removal just fueled the public belief that it was something else, something being hidden.
And this fascination even showed up in, design and architecture.
It did. You had things like the Finnish architect Matti Saronen's Futuro house or UFO house project in the late 60s. These cool, prefabricated elliptical plastic houses looked exactly like classic flying saucers. They were meant to ski cabins or holiday homes, but the aesthetic totally captured that space-age extraterrestrial vibe that was so popular.
Huh. A UFO house. That's brilliant. And then, of course, the ultimate symbol of UFO secrecy in American culture.
Has to be Area 51, the mysterious base out in the Nevada desert.
Which the government denied even existed for decades, right?
For a very long time. They finally officially acknowledged its existence in 2013, but they maintain it's just a secure facility for testing advanced classified aircraft.
Like the U-2 spy plane. The F-117 stealth fighter.
Exactly. Those were developed and tested there. Rumors persist about even more advanced, maybe hypersonic projects like the mythical SR-91 Aurora. But of course, the popular legend is that Area 51 is where they keep the crashed Roswell saucer and maybe even alien bodies.
That legend is powerful. It led to that whole Storm Area 51 thing a few years back, didn't it?
Yeah, 2019 started as a viral Facebook joke event. Storm Area 51, they can't stop all of us. The idea was to overwhelm the guards and finally see the aliens.
Did people actually show up?
Surprisingly, yes. Around 3,000 people gathered near the base entrances in the Nevada desert, mostly peacefully, like a festival atmosphere, but about 100 people did actually try to approach the gates.
Did they get in? Did they see aliens?
No. They were stopped pretty quickly by security. I think only about 5 people were arrested for trespassing. But the whole event, even though it started as a meme, really captured that deep-seated public fascination and frustration with the perceived government secrecy around UFOs in Area 51. People want disclosure.
That desire for disclosure, for answers. It brings us right back to where we started, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To the modern evidence that finally forced the government's hand, at least partially.
Exactly. Back to the hard evidence captured by advanced U.S. military technology. The evidence that ultimately led to those congressional hearings. And the absolute cornerstone case here is the Nimitz incident from November 2004, also known as the Tic Tac incident.
The Tic Tac. Okay, this one is widely regarded as maybe the most credible, best documented encounter we have.
By many experts, yes. Because of the caliber of the witnesses, the multiple sensor platforms involved, and the official verification later on.
So let's break it down. What happened? Where was it?
It involved the USS Nimitz Carrier Strike Group conducting advanced training exercises off the coast of Southern California and Mexico. Specifically, the cruiser USS Princeton, equipped with the super advanced SPY-1 radar system, started detecting anomalous aerial phenomena over several days.
Anomalous how? What were these things doing?
The radar showed objects appearing suddenly at very high altitudes, around 80,000 feet, that's over 24,000 meters, then dropping almost instantly down to near sea level, maybe 50 feet. They'd hover, then accelerate off at incredible speeds, far faster than any known aircraft, often moving around 120 knots, about 190 kilometers, but capable of much more. They'd vanish from radar, then reappear moments later, miles away. Highly erratic, physics-defying behavior.
So, multiple days of advanced radar tracking these unknowns. Did they try to get a visual?
Yes. The Princeton eventually directed fighter jets from the Nimitz to intercept. This led to the famous encounter involving Commander David Fravor and his wingman.
Fravor, who testified to Congress later, what did he see?
As they approached the location vectored by the Princeton, Fravor and the other pilots saw a disturbance on the ocean surface below. Looked like churning white water, maybe 50, 100 meters across, as if something large was submerged just beneath.
Something underwater.
That's what it looked like. And hovering erratically just above this disturbance, maybe 50 feet up, was a smaller object. White, smooth, oblong, with no visible wings, no engines, no exhaust plumes. Fravor famously described it as looking like a giant tic-tac breath mint.
A flying tic-tac. Okay, what did it do?
It was moving erratically, side to side, very quickly. Fravor decided to descend to get a closer look, making an aggressive maneuver downwards.
And the tic-tac reacted.
Instantly, Fravor said it mirrored his descent path, came up towards him, then suddenly peeled off at an unbelievable speed and acceleration, disappearing in seconds. He said it moved in a way he couldn't comprehend, violating the laws of physics as he understood them from decades of flying high-performance jets.
Gone. Just like that. Did they get any video or sensor data?
Fravor's flight didn't capture video, but a later flight launched from the Nimitz, piloted by Lieutenant Commander Chad Underwood, did. His FA-18 Super Hornet was equipped with an advanced infrared targeting pod, the ATFLIR.
Infrared, so it sees heat signatures.
Exactly. Underwood's FLIR system locked onto one of these objects. The now famous FLIR-1 video shows this tic-tac-shaped object hovering, then accelerating rapidly off to the left, moving at speeds that seemed impossible with no visible means of propulsion.
And that's the crucial technical point, right? The infrared data.
That's absolutely critical. Infrared sensors measure heat. An object accelerating like that using any known technology jet engines, rockets should produce a massive heat signature, a plume of hot exhaust gases.
But the FLIR video showed
Nothing. No detectable exhaust plume, no significant heat source corresponding to the incredible acceleration and speed observed. It seemed to defy thermodynamics. This lack of conventional propulsion signature is a key piece of technical evidence suggesting truly anomalous technology.
So no wings, no engines, no heat plumes, instant acceleration, hypersonic speeds.
Exactly. These encounters, particularly the Nimitz, help the military define what they now call the 5 observables of UAP behavior that indicate technology beyond our own.
Okay, what are the 5?
1. Anti-gravity lift operating without visible means of propulsion, like wings or rotors. 2. Sudden and instantaneous acceleration changing speed and direction without apparent G-force effects. 3. Hypersonic velocity without signatures traveling at extreme speeds, Mach 5+, without leaving sonic booms or heat trails. 4. Low observability and difficult to detect on radar or visually, maybe using cloaking. And 5. Transmedium travel, the ability to move seamlessly between different environments like air and water, as suggested by the disturbance Fravor saw.
Those 5 points, they directly connect back to Gresh's claims, don't they? That this is non-human tech being recovered.
They certainly lend technical weight to the possibility that the phenomena observed are not just misidentified known objects, but something genuinely different, operating outside our current understanding of physics and engineering. These observables make claims of non-human origin seem less outlandish.
And this Nimitz footage, the FLIR video, it wasn't released right away.
No, it was classified top secret for years. It was initially leaked in 2017, along with 2 other Navy videos from the USS Theodore Roosevelt incidents in 2015, the Gimbal and Go Fast videos. The leaks came via the STARS Academy of Arts and Science, an organization co-founded by Tom DeLonge from Blink-182, involving former intelligence officials.
Okay, so it leaked first. How did the Navy react?
Initially, silence. But after the pilots, including Fravor and Underwood, started speaking publicly and verifying the video's authenticity, the Navy finally acknowledged in 2019 that the videos were real, authentic, Navy footage of unidentified aerial phenomena.
They admitted they were real UAP videos.
Yes, and then in April 2020, the Pentagon itself officially declassified and formally released the 3 videos, FLIR-1, Gimbal, Go Fast, to the public, stating they wanted to clear up misconceptions about whether the footage was real or not. Their official statement basically concluded they cannot explain what the objects in the videos are.
That level of official military acknowledgement, we recorded this, it's real, and we don't know what it is, feels unprecedented.
It absolutely was. A major turning point in official transparency, likely driven by the leaks and pilot testimony, and setting the stage for the recent congressional interest.
So Nimitz is huge. Are there other significant modern sightings worth mentioning? What about the Phoenix Lights?
The Phoenix Lights. March 13th, 1997, Arizona. Another massive sighting event. Thousands of people across the state reported seeing different things, but the most famous was a huge V-shaped object, maybe a mile wide, moving slowly and silently over Phoenix and surrounding areas. It had distinct lights along its leading edge.
Thousands saw this V-shape. What did officials say?
Initially, the reaction was dismissive. The Arizona governor at the time, Fife Symington, even held a press conference where he tried to make light of it, bringing out a staffer dressed in a silly alien costume to reassure the public.
He joked about it. That probably didn't go over well.
Not with the witnesses, no. But here's the interesting part. Years later, after leaving office, Symington publicly admitted that he himself had witnessed one of these massive, inexplicable objects that night. He said it was otherworldly and definitely not man-made. He apologized for mocking it earlier, saying he'd tried to prevent panic.
A governor saw it too. Wow. Was there ever an official explanation for the V-shape?
Well, the Air Force later explained a different set of lights seen later that same evening over Phoenix. They said those were flares dropped by A-10 Warthog aircraft during a training exercise called Operation Snowbird at the Barry Goldwater Range.
Flares. Okay, but did that explain the giant, silent V object seen earlier by thousands?
Most witnesses of the V-shape strongly rejected the flare explanation. They insisted what they saw was a solid, structured craft moving silently, completely different from drifting flares. So the official explanation only covered part of the night's events, leaving the main mystery unsolved for many.
It seems like a pattern. Compelling sightings, questionable or incomplete official explanations.
It's a very common pattern, and that persistence of perceived secrecy fuels things like the story of Gary McKinnon.
McKinnon, he was the hacker, right? The British guy who broke into NASA and U.S. military computers.
That's him. Between 2001 and 2002, apparently obsessed with finding proof of UFO cover-ups and suppressed free energy technology, he conducted what's been called the biggest military computer hack of all time.
What did he claim he found?
He claimed he found evidence of a secret U.S. space program, including a project called Disclosure involving maybe 400 people working on adapting captured alien technology. He also claimed he saw documents listing names under the heading non-terrestrial officers and evidence of ship-to-ship transfers between U.S. Navy space vessels.
Non-terrestrial officers, like space Navy personnel. That sounds like science fiction again. Did he produce any proof? Files? Screenshots?
No. And this is where his story gets widely questioned. When pressed for the actual evidence, his famous excuse was that the internet connection back in 2001-2002 was too slow, 56K dial-up, for him to download the large incriminating files or images he saw before he was disconnected or detected.
The internet was too slow.
Yep.
That's convenient.
Very convenient, yes. So while his hacking was real and caused significant damage and security alerts, leading to a long legal battle where the U.S. tried to extradite him, his claims about what he found remain unverified and widely dismissed by authorities. But his story absolutely feeds into that deep belief that the evidence is hidden away in government systems.
Okay, so hacking aside, the Nimitz incident and others clearly had a real impact inside the government, leading to actual policy changes.
Definitely. The Nimitz videos, once verified, directly led the Navy to change its procedures for how pilots should report UAP encounters. And it was a major catalyst for the creation of the Pentagon's UAP Task Force, UAPTF, in 2020.
The UAP Task Force, what was its job?
Its initial mandate was to detect, analyze, and catalog UAPs that could potentially pose a threat to U.S. national security. It was the first formal, acknowledged U.S. government entity focused on UFOs since Project Blue Book closed in 1969.
And that task force evolved into something else.
Yes, it was later expanded and restructured into the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO, established in 2022.
AARO, what's different about it?
AARO has a broader scope, looking at anomalies not just in the air, but also underwater and potentially in space. Its existence marks a significant shift from the old dismissive tone. AARO's public reports, mandated by Congress, have acknowledged that a significant number of the cases they've reviewed remain unexplained.
They admit cases are unexplained. That's new.
It is. And crucially, the entire framing now, both from AARO and in the ongoing congressional hearings, is explicitly about addressing UAPs as a potential national security threat and an aviation safety issue. That's a huge philosophical leap from the old no threat, nothing to see here stance of Blue Book.
Are they confirming Grush's claims about crashed ships and reverse engineering?
No. That's where AARO has been very careful. While acknowledging unexplained phenomena, AARO's reports have also specifically critiqued the more extreme claims, like widespread secret reverse engineering programs based on recovered non-human tech. They stated that such claims often rely on circular reporting or unproven sources.
So they're walking a tightrope, admitting something's real, but denying the really explosive stuff.
Exactly. It's a delicate balancing act. Admit the phenomenon is real and needs serious study, satisfying Congress and pilots, but strongly push back against the specific whistleblower claims of recovered craft and bodies, maintaining government control over the narrative.
And Congress is keeping the pressure on. More hearings.
Yes, the congressional interest hasn't waned. Hearings continue, often focusing on the need for greater transparency and better data sharing between agencies. You hear testimony like from former Navy Chief Meteorologist Rear Admiral Timothy Gallaudet, recounting instances where critical UAP data, like a video he saw detailing a near mid-air collision warning, mysteriously vanished from systems without explanation.
Evidence disappearing? That just feeds the secrecy concerns again.
It does. These repeated accounts reinforce that loop of suspicion. But the main takeaway from this whole modern era, the last 5 to 10 years especially, is that official government and military structures, the ones built on hard data and verification, are now openly admitting that phenomena exist in our skies and potentially elsewhere that they cannot explain with current science or known technology.
So the debate has shifted. It's no longer if something weird is out there.
Right. The debate now is, what is it? And maybe just as importantly, why has there been such sustained secrecy and denial for so long?
Okay. That brings us to the end, the synthesis. We've covered a massive amount of ground. Millennia, really. From ancient historians writing about fiery spheres
To Sumerian Dinger and Indian Vimanas,
through Roswell's crash debris and conflicting stories,
the Washington Flap, Tehran's electronic warfare, Belgium's silent triangles.
and right up to today's Navy pilots capturing Tic Tacs on infrared video data the Pentagon itself released and called Unexplained.
We have multiple highly compelling cases. Tehran, Nimitz, Belgium, standout confirmed by advanced equipment, validated by trained military professionals that simply resist all conventional terrestrial explanations. The data points towards something truly anomalous.
So if the evidence, especially the modern technical evidence, is getting so strong, why don't we have definitive proof? Why hasn't ET landed on the White House lawn? If they're here, why the coyness?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It brings us right back to the Fermi paradox. The universe is vast and old, so statistically, intelligent life should be common. But if it is, where is everybody? Why the apparent silence?
There are theories about that, right? Possible explanations for the silence.
Several prominent ones, yeah. They try to resolve that paradox. One is the rare Earth hypothesis.
Rare Earth, meaning life like ours is just super rare.
Essentially, yes. It suggests that while simple life might be common out there, the specific combination of factors needed for complex, intelligent life to evolve things like a stable star, a large moon for axial stability, plate tectonics, the right planetary chemistry, the protective presence of gas giants like Jupiter sweeping up asteroids, that exact combination might be incredibly statistically rare.
So we might just be a fluke. Really lucky or unlucky, depending on how you look at it.
We could be. Maybe we are one of the first or only technological civilizations in our galactic neighborhood.
Okay, what's another possibility? I've heard of the Great Filter. That sounds ominous.
It is rather chilling. The Great Filter hypothesis suggests that intelligent life might arise relatively often, but there's some kind of inevitable barrier or filter that prevents civilizations from surviving long enough to become interstellar.
A filter? Like what?
It could be anything, really. Nuclear self-annihilation, uncontrollable climate change leading to ecological collapse, a runaway artificial intelligence scenario, an engineered super pandemic. Basically, civilizations reach a certain technological point where they inevitably destroy themselves before they can expand beyond their home world.
That's depressing. So the question for us becomes, is the Great Filter behind us or ahead of us?
Precisely. If the filter is behind us, meaning getting life started or developing intelligence was the incredibly hard part, then we are truly rare and special, having passed it. But if the filter is ahead of us,
then we're likely doomed, like all other advanced civilizations before us.
That's the terrifying implication. Maybe reaching our current level of technology is the danger zone, and we're approaching the stage where civilizations typically wipe themselves out.
Okay, let's hope that one's wrong. Any less bleak theories?
Well, there's the zoo hypothesis, a bit more palatable perhaps, but still kind of strange.
The zoo hypothesis. Like we're exhibits.
Sort of. It posits that advanced extraterrestrial civilizations are aware of us, maybe they're all around us, but they have deliberately chosen not to make open contact. They're observing us, maybe studying us like animals in a protected nature reserve or a zoo.
Why would they do that?
The idea is they might have some kind of prime directive, like in Star Trek. They might be waiting for humanity to reach a certain level of technological, political, or ethical maturity, maybe solving our internal conflicts, achieving sustainability before they deem us ready for contact and inclusion in a galactic community.
So they're waiting for us to grow up, basically.
That's one way to put it. It preserves their existence, but explains the lack of open interaction.
Are there simpler explanations,
Right,
less philosophical?
Absolutely. The simplest and maybe most likely explanation remains the sheer vastness of space and time.
Just distance.
Immense distance. Even if civilizations are out there, and even if they have faster than light travel, which physics currently says is impossible, space is just mind-bogglingly big. Think about that potential habitable exoplanet, K218b, that's generated some buzz. It's 124 light years away.
124 light years, so light takes 124 years to get there.
Right. Even traveling at a significant fraction of light speed, a one-way trip would take centuries. Communication would have huge delays. Sustained contact, visitation, colonization. It all becomes incredibly difficult and resource-intensive over such distances. Maybe visits are possible, but they'd be incredibly rare and fleeting, more like brief expeditions than a constant presence, which might fit the pattern of sporadic UAP sightings.
So maybe they have visited, but it's just incredibly infrequent because it's so hard to do.
That's a perfectly rational possibility that doesn't require complex filters or zoo scenarios.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, we have this long history, escalating modern evidence, official acknowledgments of unexplained phenomena, but also persistent secrecy and denial, alongside these big philosophical questions about contact. What's the bottom line for us, for you, the listener, today?
The bottom line is the debate has fundamentally shifted. We have a consistent global record of unexplained phenomena, now repeatedly confirmed by sophisticated military sensors and credible personnel. The question is no longer really if these things are real in some sense. The question is, what are they? And tied to that, why the decades of sustained suppression and secrecy?
The secrecy question is huge. Is it just governments wanting to avoid public panic? Or is it about technology, national security?
That seems increasingly likely. If these objects demonstrate technology propulsion, energy generation, materials that is centuries beyond our own, then understanding and potentially replicating that technology becomes the absolute highest national security priority for any major power. The strategic advantage would be immense. Secrecy, even at the cost of public trust or scientific openness, would be seen as essential to protect that potential advantage from adversaries.
So the cover-up might be less about hiding aliens and more about hiding revolutionary technology that could shift the global balance of power.
That's a very strong possibility, especially given the military focus of the best evidence. Look at the cases we highlighted. Tehran, Nimitz, Belgium, these are high-stakes encounters where military platforms were directly involved, observed, sometimes interfered with, by objects demonstrating capabilities far beyond our own, operating within sensitive military airspace.
Which leads to a final, maybe provocative thought for you, the listener, to chew on after all this.
Go for it.
If the most compelling, technically solid evidence, the radar tracks, the infrared data showing impossible physics, the pilot testimonies of system failures, comes almost exclusively from these military encounters, does that inherently suggest that the phenomenon itself, whatever its ultimate origin, is fundamentally technological? And potentially, given its interactions with military assets, potentially surveillance-oriented or even hostile, regardless of whether it's human adversaries with breakthrough tech or something truly non-terrestrial.
That's the uncomfortable inference, isn't it? The best data points towards advanced technology operating with impunity in contested military environments. Whether that technology is ours, secretly developed, belongs to a rival nation, an even bigger secret, or originates off-world, the implications are profound and potentially destabilizing. The facts lead us to the edge of understanding where speculation about humanity's future in the face of such possibilities truly has to begin.
A lot to think about. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the unpacked mysteries of the unknown.
Until next time.